Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to go over some new Excel functions that are going to make data parsing a whole lot easier for you. So if you don't have access to these functions, it's probably because you're not signed up for the Office Insiders program if you're on Office 365. And by doing this, this will allow you to get access to new functions before they're officially released. I'll leave a link in the description for this video so that you can follow along to set yourself up for that. And that way you'll be able to get new functions before the official releases. And in this example, I'm going to use these new Excel functions to parse out data. In this example, I'm using a date that's formatted as text. And the reason it's formatted as text is because on my calendar settings, on my regional settings, I'm using a month, day, year format. But this date is formatted as day, month, year. So it's looking for a 19th month, which is not going to work. And so I'm going to do some calculations to calculate the day, month, and the year. I'm going to use the old approach with the current parsing functions that you might use, and the new approach with the new Excel functions. So I'm going to start with something really easy, and that's just pulling in the day value. So what you could do for something like this is use the left function and then select the value. And I'm using a named range here, day to convert, just so it's easy to see what I'm referencing. And I could just use the number 2 for the number of characters, and that would be it. Now, if you wanted something a bit more versatile, what you could do is use the find function to find, say, the slash within this value and start at number 1, and then subtract 1, so we're not including that slash. And so now it gives me 19 as the value. Now, so the new Excel function that you can use that can accomplish the same thing is called text before. So I'm going to select the same value here. For my delimiter, use that backslash, close, and that's it. So it's a whole lot easier. You can see I'm just selecting the value and my delimiter, whereas here, I may have to specify the number of characters, may have to subtract by 1 not to include it. So you can already see that there's a bit of a savings there in terms of complexity and time to create the formula. Now is the easy one. Let's move on to year, which is also a bit easy because you can use the right function to say, okay, I'm going to select this value, pull in the last 4 characters, and that's going to work as well for to get the last 4 numbers. And now this one, if you wanted to, again, make this a bit more complicated where you're not pulling in the number of characters. Let's say you have, 22 instead of 2022. Again, you're not really sure of the number of letters that you want to pull, number of characters. Then, again, you may do something like use the length function, the total length function, and then subtract the position of where that second backslash is. And to do that, it's a bit tricky because now you're doing nested find functions. And the reason you're doing that is because first you're finding the position of the first one. So in this case, I'm starting to do a search, but my starting number has to be from this first backslash, because if I start from number 1, it's going to stop here. And I want to start from here rather than stop. So it's a bit confusing, but basically what I need to do is nest these find functions. So to do that, I'll do find slash within here, start number 1, and then I want to start searching after that initial one. So as you can see, it starts to get a little bit complicated here because now I want to make sure that I've closed everything properly. And there we go. So that gives me 2022. So as you can see, that's starting to get a whole lot more complicated. Again, you could hard code the number, but it's not a perfect solution if your data changes or expands. And Excel has another new function called text after, similar to text before. We're selecting the value here. The delimiter I'm going to use is still the backslash. The difference here, I'm going to select the second instance number because I want the second backslash after the second one, not the first one. Now close this off, and now I've got 2022. So again, look at that function there, that formula there, versus that complex one. So it's a whole lot easier using text after. Now text before also has that delimiter or that instance number argument that you can specify. But because I was using the very beginning, I did not need to specify the second one. If I did specify the second one, then it would grab everything before the second one. But I don't need that, so that's why I left that one blank. But both functions have that ability for you to specify the instance number. Now, I saved the month for last because this is the ugliest formula that we're going to have to create here. And this one is going to use the mid function because we're not starting from the beginning or the end. We're trying to get the value within these two backslashes. So it's a bit tricky because now we've got to use the mid function because we're selecting the middle. And again, I'm going to select this value. And my start number, my start position is going to be this first backslash. So I'm going to use the find function. Select this value, number 1, and start from the character right after the slash. Okay, so that's the easy part, the starting number. The number of characters is where it gets a bit even messier. So I'm going to use the find function again to find that backslash within here, and I need to find that second backslash. So I got to nest it in again. That nested find function. Say, okay, find that within here, comma 1, and again, +1. And now I also need to subtract now because, again, I'm working backwards. I found the position of the second backslash, but I have to subtract the position of the first one to find that difference. So I'm going to use the find function yet again for a fourth time. Select this value, comma 1, and this time you need to subtract the 1. And let's see if that works. So that worked. So I got number 4, but as you can see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, four find functions. So it's incredibly messy. So with the new Excel functions, there is not one specific to getting or characters between delimiters. But with the text before and text after functions, Excel actually does give us enough to get this job done pretty neatly. I'm going to start with the text after function. So I'm going to select text after, select this value, select the backslash. And right now it's giving me everything starting from that first backslash, from 4 until the end. Now this isn't what I want, but I can nest this within the text before function. So I can do text before, open that up, and now I've got that value, remember, that starts with 4/2022. So now what I can do is now I want the value before that delimiter. Close this out, and I've still got the value of 4. So I'll go to the evaluate formula function to show you how this works. So I've got that value, the text after it's got 4/2022. And so if I'm looking at the value before that delimiter, now it's going to look at this line and grab the value before that. And that's how that's able to do the same thing. We've got one nested function here, but that's a whole lot less complicated than this. So as you can see, these functions here, the new functions, make it a whole lot cleaner to parse data out, and it's a lot easier to track than trying to figure out if you've made a mistake somewhere along here to figure out, okay, where exactly you are in this formula. So it's incredibly simplified with these new functions. And then what you could do is if I want to put these values back in my date calculation, I can select year, month, and day. And now I've got the correct month, day, year format by doing that. And if you wanted to put this in a complicated, in just one formula, then you could just copy these formulas within their respective arguments. Now there is also another function that you could use, another new one called text split. And what this does, this generates an array where we're selecting the value and specifying the delimiter, so just that backslash. And I'm going to close that out, hit enter, and now it's actually going to generate each one of those values broken out by the delimiter. So I've got the day, the month, and the year. And so as you can see, it's in an array function, but similarly, you could do the same thing, reference the year, the month, and the day, and you can parse it out that way. So whether you're using text split to create an array, or whether you want to use text before, text after, or a combination, you can do the same things that you would have done using a combination of left, right, mid, find. And as you can see, it's a whole lot simpler to do this. So that's one of the cool things about these upcoming new text functions, is they can make your life a whole lot easier when you're parsing data. So hope you found that useful, and thank you very much for watching.